Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tempe City Council regular council meeting. Item number 1 is call to order. Council meetings can be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Members of the public may also attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Teams. If you're here to speak on items designated as public hearing items later on in the agenda, please know that you will have an opportunity to speak when I introduce those items at the time of their public hearing. The City Council and I will need to complete the other items of business leading up to those items, so we appreciate your patience. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item and you haven't filled out a speaker card yet, please make sure to fill out and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. I will make sure to call your name when it is your turn for public comment. I would now like to invite everyone who's able and willing to stand to join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Tonight's agenda has a number of items that the City Council must consider in order to conduct city business. Guidelines for conduct at City Council meetings are on the table near the entrance for those in attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now play a video with the proper protocol for ensuring the appropriate conduct at City Council meetings.
The City of Tempe welcomes public comment at this time. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed. Continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. We need to be able to hear everyone in the room. Behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any city council meeting is not helpful and is not permitted. This includes behavior both inside and outside of the council chambers. Should individuals inside the council chambers become disruptive so that city business is not able to be conducted, the mayor will first ask that the individuals allow city business to be completed. There will be time for public comment during the call to the audience portion of the meeting. If no cooperation, the mayor will issue a verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is still no cooperation, the mayor will issue a second verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is no cooperation after asking and 2 verbal warnings, then the mayor will ask security officers to remove only those individuals who are causing the disruption. Security personnel should not engage in any way, but only escort them from the council chambers. If individuals refuse to leave, security personnel shall warn them that they are trespassing and that the next step will be arrest by a Tempe police officer. Tempe officers may have to arrest if individuals refuse to leave. Charges for trespass and disorderly conduct may apply, as well as other charges. Should anyone be asked to be removed, the mayor will recess the meeting.
Thank you very much. We're now going to play a video conveying the City of Tempe's Native Land Acknowledgement Statement.
We wish to acknowledge that Tempe is the homeland of the Native people who have inhabited this landscape since time immemorial. These ancestral lands of the O'odham, known as Pima, Peeposh, known as the Maricopa, and their ancestors extend far beyond our city. This land continues to be spiritually connected to the O'odham of the Salt River Pima, Maricopa Indian Community, and Gila River Indian Community. We accept the responsibility of stewarding those places and solemnly pledge to consider this commitment in every action.
Thank you so much. We're now going to turn to item number 4, meeting minutes. I'll be assisted this evening by Councilmember Keating. So first up here, we have item 4A, approval of City Council meeting minutes. Councilmember Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. I move we approve items 4A, 1 through 3.
It's been moved by Councilmember Keating. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Chin. All those in favor, please vote. And quick question, Madam Clerk, is Councilmember Navarro on the line? I should have asked that before. No, he's not. Okay, so that item is approved 6-0 with Councilmember Navarro absent. Next up, we have item 4B, acceptance of board, commission, and committee meeting minutes. Councilmember Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. I move we approve items B, 1 through 3.
It's been moved by Councilmember Keating. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. And that item is also approved 6-0 with Councilmember Navarro absent. That brings me to item number 5, reports and announcements, and I'm going to go ahead and walk down to the front. All right, so the first up here we have item 5A1, Knights of Pythias Founders Day Proclamation. And I know we have Mr. Phil Amorosi here, but I know we have some other gentlemen who probably would like to join me up front here as well. So if you'd all like to come on up, I'd love to have you. All right. So this proclamation reads, whereas the Order of the Knights of Pythias is a great international fraternity founded on February 19, 1864 by Justice Henry Rathbone in Washington, D.C., in the belief that it would help reunite the North and the South and forge a meaningful brotherhood. And whereas the Order was the first fraternal organization chartered by an act of the U.S. Congress. And whereas the Order of the Knights of Pythias embodies the everlasting friendship of Damon and Pythias, who followed the tenets of the philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, and members of the Pythian order practice the principles of friendship, charity, and benevolence through community service in their daily lives. And whereas the Knights of Pythias celebrates the historic 160th anniversary of its founding on February 19th, 2024, with the Tempe Lodge number 26, which was established on May 3rd, 1907. And whereas these Tempe Pythians exemplify and further these lofty ideals by engaging in worthwhile endeavors benefiting the community, such as raising funds for the Arc of Tempe, Tempe Community Action Agency, Tempe Center for Rehabilitation, TCC Threads Program, the Eris Foundation, Save the Family, and the Boys and Girls Club of Guadalupe, and for opening their lodge for numerous charitable community causes and neighborhood meetings. And whereas the order concerns itself with the future of our great democracy by helping Maricopa County as an early voting site for regional, statewide, and federal elections. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare February 19th, 2024 as Knights of Pythias Founders Day in Tempe, Arizona. Bill, I'm giving this to you, my friend. Sir. I'll do one and one without me. Perfect, okay.
Slide in over there on the side, that looks great. Thank you. Ready, 1, 2, 3, big smile. We're gonna do one more, big smile. 1, 2, 3. Got it? And one without the mayor. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
That was kind of painless.
All right. So the next one here we have is the item 5A2, What Works City's Platinum Certification and Proclamation. I've got a number of these here with me. But I'm going to read the proclamation first, and then I've got a few things to actually say about this, because as you can all see, we are wearing these wonderful shirts this evening, saying, of course, Tempe loves data, which I can tell you is very much true if you work in this building. Data is pretty much the foundation for everything we do in this community, and it really is great to be recognized by a national organization for our work. This proclamation is quite lengthy, so I'm gonna get through the whole thing. So, whereas a growing movement of cities and city leaders are using data and evidence to more equitably deliver services and solve problems, invest public dollars and resources in programs that work, increase transparency, and improve the quality of lives of residents. And whereas What Works City's certification is an international initiative launched in 2017 by Bloomberg Philanthropies and led by Results for America, that helps cities adopt foundational data practices, develop data skills throughout city leadership and staff, and put in place critical data infrastructure. And whereas in 2023, the city of Tempe, Arizona completed the What Works City certification assessment to benchmark its data practices and to continue implementing a roadmap for building the infrastructure, skills, and culture needed to effectively use data and evidence to deliver better outcomes for its residents, businesses, and visitors. And whereas in completing the rigorous assessment, the city of Tempe joined a select international community of cities, growing data practices and scaling innovative, data-driven approaches for government operations. And whereas since 2017, the city made measurable progress in its foundational data practices, including implementing an evaluation policy and program, establishing one of the nation's first ethical artificial intelligence policies, instituting disaggregated demographic data standards, framing the city's data workforce strategic plan, and launching Tempe's first citywide data strategy, and implementing a data-driven approach to address critical community priorities, such as the feeling of safety, resilience to extreme heat, encampments and human services, affordable housing, equity and parks planning, and pavement and alley conditions. And whereas having completed key work driving citywide achievement of certification standards by advancing Tempe City Council's strategic priorities and performance measures, implementing public dashboards, open data practices and policies, demonstrating the mayor and city council's use of data to inform decision-making, and leveraging data in public communications. And whereas What Works City's certification is contingent on connecting data directly to quality of life, it evaluates, reorganizes, and celebrates cities for their exceptional use of data to inform policy decisions, allocate funding, improve services, evaluate program effectiveness, and engage their residents. And whereas the city of Tempe has shown strong leadership and applied practices for data use, identified strategic priorities, target measurements, and set strategies to achieve them, created a data governance strategy, met an existing standard on air pollution and the percentage of households with high-speed broadband subscriptions, and is using data to improve lives. And whereas the city of Tempe has met the What Works City's certifications standard of excellence of the highest level for data-driven local government and achieved the 2023 What Works City's Platinum certification. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare the City of Tempe, Arizona as a 2023 Platinum What Works City. Council, if you could all join me down here. So I just wanted to say a couple of quick things here, and I'd love to have the team here who's going to accept this come on up and join me. And I see Dr. Dietrich, Weidel. I see that whole bunch of people. All right, come on up. That is,
Wow, that's cool.
thank you.
Someone wants to hold it.
Oh, hey.
You want to hold it in your office? We can move it around.
Of course.
Upstairs.
I know, I was wondering where she was. City Manager and Chowsty, come on down here.
We have three. For all three, yeah, for all 3 years, we've got people.
So just want to let people know, for the folks in the audience and those watching at home, this award is timely because International Love Data Week is from February 12th through the 16th of this year. So I want anyone in this room, I'm going to ask you all, raise your hands if you don't have a Tempe Loves Data t-shirt, and our staff will bring you one. So if you don't have one, I'm going to know who you are. If you don't, try to raise your hand. So raise your hand. There we go. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want a free t-shirt to go home with? Come on here. So I want to do also a couple of thanks here as well. I want to thank all the members of the Tempe City Council in the proclamation for their utilization of data in decision-making and community engagement. This was one of the hallmarks for getting the certification, is that the council really has to embrace this, not just simply talk about it, but make sure in the way that we work with members of the public and that we come to decisions, we actually use certified data in all of that decision-making. I want to thank as well, too, a lot of the folks who are standing up here, our executive team, our senior management team, and all of our city employees for advancing a data-driven culture. We always say many many times council members are the ones who get to be out front giving interviews to the press and media, but the reality it is these 1,600 plus members of our city staff who do the real heavy lifting and make us look good when we're out there. So thank you to all of the members of our team, including the folks standing up here right now with each and every one of us. And I just wanted to do a really quick, very special shout out here to Dr. Stephanie Dietrich. Dr. Dietrich is Tempe's first Chief Data and Analytics Officer. She manages the IT, GIS, and data analytics team, and I want to say very clearly here, this is not just a one-time award that she's been working toward. This is something that really has been a legacy project and a life's passion for her. So I know for her to be up here receiving this and seeing all of us standing here with this very, very substantial award has to feel exceptionally good because it is the validation for an incredible amount of work and a lifetime of great work done in this area. So thank you very much, Dr. Dietrich, for everything you do for the city of Tempe. Now, we have a few different photos we're going to do here. I have 3 different ones, and I know Mariana will catch me if I actually do one the wrong way. So the first thing we're going to do here is they want a photo of me with the leadership team. So I'm going to do a photo of me and the leadership team, and then the second one's going to be just the council together. So first, I'll just do myself with the leadership team, and I'll grab a proclamation.
These were the original steering committee.
I was asked to do it this way. I'm just simply following orders. One of the things you find out in council life. As mayor, I just follow orders. I love all of you. Because I think Dr. Dietrich had a hand full.
You want mine fly roaster or is this okay? Mine will need to be in this one.
That looks good. That looks great. Ready? Big smiles. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do one more. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha. Okay.
All right, thank you. Now the next photo here is just the city council. So I'd like to have you all come up.
Are you sure?
I'm confident. I'm doing this in the order I was told.
So when council is going to take.
Ooh. Oh, okay. All
All right, the
right.
mayor. Okay, if you're gonna hold it, can you hold it over your head?
I can hold it, man. Can one of the council members grab one of the proclamations as well?
I know I'm very pushy about the photo I would like, but I think over your head.
So open it up a little bit so people can see one. Oh, no, just one. Just one.
I'm passing out everything.
Councilmember, I'm just taking all the proclamations.
Let's have.
Oh, I know, I didn't get my workout in the morning and the evening. Exactly. Okay, sounds good. So serious one here.
Okay, look over here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Big smiles. 1, 2, 3. And then another one. Okay.
All right, now for a little bit of a less serious one, everyone. Here we go. Now the next one, the last one here, I know we're going to have the council kind of go into the audience a little bit here. And let me make sure too, and then everyone out here in the audience, and then we're going to take a photo. So in the middle here. All right, everyone up? You're doing great. Thank you.
You sure?
Great cup shirt.
You got this. You got this.
Make sure I don't fall off.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Serious business over here.
There we go.
You're good. You're good.
If you can't see Jason, you can't see you.
Scoot in a little bit. We gotta collapse in a little bit. I can't
Collapse
get
in.
that far.
Act like you like one another.
That's pretty good. There we go. That looks good. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Big smiles. We're gonna do a couple more, everybody. 1, 2, 3. And another one. Let me do one like this just for fun. Okay, we got it.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, So why not? You can get 2 of these, I know. I'll put those on top. And then. There you go. Thank you. And just my last brief announcement of the evening, item 5A3, which is our Tempe Commission on Disability Concerns and Family Justice Commission appointments. Just wanted to very publicly congratulate David Cater on his appointment to the Commission on Disability Concerns and Shannon Burns on her appointment to the Family Justice Commission as outlined in item 7A1 on this evening's agenda. All right, that brings me to item number 6, public appearances, and Councilmember Navarro has also joined us this evening. All right. Public appearances, according to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the City Council may only discuss matters listed elsewhere on this agenda for discussion and legal action. The purpose of the open call to the public is to allow individuals to address the City Council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No person shall speak more than once, and there is a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers present at the podium must state their name and city of residence and provide a speaker card. Members of the public shall refrain from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks and from becoming boisterous while addressing the City Council or while attending the meeting. Speakers will be taken first come, first served in the order in which the cards are received. Speakers' visual aids and appearances by phone or recordings are not allowed. I thought Councilmember Chin was going to do public appearances this evening. Council members are prohibited by state law from taking action on, commenting, or discussing a matter raised by a member of the public, even if asked to do so by a member of the public, so long as the subject discussed by the speaker is not listed as a specific agenda item for council's consideration for discussion and legal action. At the conclusion of public appearances, the council may ask the city manager to review a matter or place a matter on a future agenda. We have 2 cards this evening for public appearances. And my first card this evening is, actually, I've got 3. The first one I have is for, is David Sokolowski the first one? Okay. So Mr. Sokolowski is going to be here virtually. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is David Sokolowski. I live in Tempe. I think it's irresponsible for the city to spend nearly $200 million on pavement. I'm concerned because paving the streets to improve travel speeds will cause people to speed. You might improve emergency response times, but you could also cause more accidents and bring street racers to Tempe. If Tempe paves 1,000 miles of roads, the pollution could be like removing all of the electric vehicles from the city. The MAG 2050 plan includes 1,000 miles of roads for the entire county. This pavement will harm people with asthma because of particulate matter. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, or in this case, every mile of pavement. We need more time to respond to these challenges. We need traffic calming, we need trees, we need to reduce speed limits, and implement speed cameras. We should be removing at least 10% of our pavement to reduce urban heat and pollution. This doesn't mean the roads won't be repaired. It means that Tempe will continue on schedule. Our roads should look more like College Ave, and our community would be safer and more healthy. What could we do with $200 million? If we remediate the landfill, we would have 46 acres of land. We could pace ourselves, and we wouldn't have to sell all 46 acres at one time. The city could do public outreach, because I don't think anyone asked if we wanted a sports stadium. PQI is on track, but the city is failing to achieve other performance measures, like housing inventory ratio. Investment in affordable housing could benefit our city for decades, while investment in pavement will probably last about 10 years. The city created Hometown for All, but now it needs funding to get off the ground. We can't afford to sit around and wait for donations. This bond is a 20-year investment, and it's more than just the regular budget. I think our community has many other priorities besides the pavement. If we talk about public safety, how about another fire station or a new resiliency hub. We should carefully consider all of the needs and wants of the community. I don't think anyone asked if we wanted to spend $200 million on pavement. This would rank level 0 on Tempe's public engagement spectrum. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The next speaker I have this evening is Peter Kovacs. Please come forward, state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Corey. Peter B. Kovacs, Warren, New Jersey, and Tempe, Arizona. David makes a few good points. I'm going to branch off that because the Shalimar Golf Course has been sold. The 44 acres have already been sold. My understanding was that the Neuheisels, and this is not on the agenda, I'm going to address this issue in about 30 seconds, made about $5.4 million on the flip. They got it for $600,000, and they were given $6 million for the purchase of that property. Now, what I'm curious about is in the future, if this property will be used for middle-income housing, because right now the fight's going to be between the new owners and the people who are the residents there who want to retain the golf course. Now, this is something that's probably going to come up in the city council in meetings in the future as far as zoning is concerned. But David made a very, very good point about environmental issues. And the last point I want to make about this is I'm going to be very curious to see what the homeowners will have to say to the city council in the future on this particular issue. God bless all of you. Thank you, and keep up the good work. And I got to put the plug in. You're a great mayor. I'm not offering much hope to win against you as a write-in candidate. So thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Mr. Kovacs.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. Good to see you.
You too.
The last card I have this evening is from James Grafe. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ah, good. I didn't sound like I nailed it. Please come forward, state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, James Grafe. Yeah, you got it perfect. I live in Tempe, and I commute via bike. I run errands via bike. I come to city council meetings via bike. Tempe's bike network is pretty good and is getting better. I just rode by Smith Bike Lane, or Smith Road, which seems like it's getting Smith Bike Lane. Very excited about that. The problem I run into is that sometimes the bike lanes disappear because of construction or events, and I'm hoping that there are ways that we could make bike lanes exist even during construction or even during events. And I think I have a couple solutions. So first is a construction project near where I live on Apache Boulevard. One of the new housing developments is redoing a couple pieces of sidewalk and has closed a bike lane and a travel lane. And so all of bikes and cars need to go in one single travel lane for a distance of maybe a quarter mile or something. And instead of having those bikes combined, since we already took away one travel lane for this temporary construction, we could add a bike lane back, maybe even wider than the one that's currently there. And that temporary bike lane could allow bikes to be separate from cars for this stretch, and leave plenty of room for the sidewalk repair and probably 10 feet for the construction workers to get around. I think that one's pretty common all around Tempe. The second one is more of a special case. I love going to concerts at Tempe Beach Park. And especially being right next to the water, it's great. But I don't like when I'm on my bike and I'm going around an event at Tempe Beach Park and I'm on a dedicated grade-separated bike trail. It's probably a world-class bike trail. And when an event is going on, I have to detour, go out of my way, and go to a painted bike lane for something like a quarter mile again. And that painted bike lane is, I think, one of my least favorite painted bike lanes in the city. I'm very used to painted bike lanes, but I think a lot of people who are on the Rio Salado Trail are not used to painted bike lanes when they're there for a dedicated grade-separated bike trail going from Mesa to Phoenix. I think ultimately the solution during events is some sort of terrace where you can still, there's an upper terrace where people can still look over the lake during events, and then kind of separate from that, probably extending into the water, is a bike trail that keeps going. That would cost a lot of money. I think we could get 80% of the way there by just closing, or by not closing the bike lane except for exactly when it's needed. So right now, for days before an event and for days after an event, the gates for the event will still be closing the bike trail. So it's multiple days before and after an event that the bike trail doesn't need to be closed and is closed. So if we could move the gates so that there's an accessible bike trail, only 10 feet or so, and then exactly during the event, move the gates to the edge so that the event still has access to the water and things, and then after the event, move the gates back. That would allow for bikes to get through for 80% of the time and not much cost. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to address the city council? If so, please come forward and state your name and city of residence for the record. All right, seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting. And I'll move to item number 7, which is the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and will be enacted with one motion by the city council unless an item is removed for separate consideration. Members of the public may remove public hearing items for separate consideration. Public hearing items are designated as public hearing item at the beginning of the item title. Council members may remove any item for separate consideration or to declare a conflict of interest. If a council member would like to declare a conflict at this time, the city clerk will provide the council member with a disclosure form. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please fill out a speaker card and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it is your turn for public comment. The consent agenda of this item is listed as miscellaneous items 7A1 through 7A4, awards of bids and contracts items 7B1 through 7B7, and resolutions items 7C1 through 7C3. Once again, any agenda item designated as public hearing item can be removed by a member of the public for separate consideration. If anyone would like to have a public hearing item removed, please get my attention now. All right, seeing that, I'll close that portion of the meeting. I will now look to our clerk to see if there were any comments received from the public wishing to address the city council on a consent agenda public hearing item.
Nothing for consent agenda.
All right, thank you so much. Council, any other items that you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration?
So move.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Hodge. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Adams. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously 7-0. That brings me to our non-consent agenda, which is item 8. All items listed on the non-consent agenda will be considered separately. Agenda items scheduled for introduction and first public hearing will be heard but will not be voted upon at this meeting. Agenda items scheduled for second public hearing and final adoption will be voted upon tonight. Council members who may have a conflict of interest may abstain from voting on a matter, and the city clerk will provide the council members with a disclosure form at this time. The only item under Section 8A is 8A1, which is to approve the fiscal year financial reporting package and audit reports submitted by the city's external auditors, Heinfield Beach and Company, PC. All right, I see Tom Dyke. I see the auditor. Okay, Lisette Camacho coming up. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This item is a request to approve the fiscal year 2023 financial reporting package and audit reports. Arizona state law requires the city's external auditor, Heinfield and Beach, do a presentation on the audit reports to City Council. We have Brittany Williams here today. She's an audit partner with Heinfield and Beach.
Good evening, Mayor Woods, members of the City Council. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Before I forget, I always run out of time, so I'm just going to start with thanking Lisette and Ann and Tom and the whole finance department. Everyone is so great and so helpful, and you'll see by the results of the audit that they just do a wonderful job. And it's always a pleasure meeting with the audit committee, and we go over everything in a much more detail. And so we have done that already last month. And so with that, I have a brief presentation, and then I'll open it up for questions. This is the key personnel on the engagement this year. It's myself as the engagement partner, and then Jared Young is the audit manager. Just some qualifications for us if you would like to look further into that. Just wanted to point out to you that we do have several governing bodies and standard boards that we have to comply with and that govern our audits. Very briefly, the AICPA statements on auditing standards governs our work paper documentation and just general audit standards. OMB uniform guidance governs the federal compliance piece of the audit that we do. Governmental Accounting Standards Board, that governs financial reporting. So when Ann and Lisette are putting together the annual comprehensive financial report. That's what's governing that, and we're auditing, making sure they do that correctly. And then, of course, government auditing standards add an extra element of fun because governments always get to do extra. And there's a snapshot of our independent auditors report that we issued on the financial statements of the city. We gave a clean opinion, unmodified opinion, saying that everything was materially correct. We audit to materiality. These are the audit-related reports that we issue during the year. It goes on for all year long, really, but culminates really at the end of December, right around Christmas, with the annual comprehensive financial report was issued with our audit opinion on December 12th, as well as the Highway User Revenue Fund report. We also issue an audit communication to those charged with governance. I email that directly to all of the audit committee members. If there were any disagreements with management or any concerns, they would be included in that letter. There was none. We also issued the single audit report in late January. We still have the annual expenditure limitation report to issue, which we just got a final copy today that I'll be looking at tomorrow. The Housing Fund report and the HUD REACT report will also be issued by March 31st. The single audit report, this is where we report on those government auditing standards. We also report on the federal programs to the federal government, and we do a risk-based assessment on federal programs to determine which ones we're going to test. I just wanted to include this brief synopsis page. Really lays it all out for you. It says what our opinion was on the financial statements at the top, if there were any findings, then the federal award opinion on compliance for the major federal programs, and if there were any findings, and which major federal programs we tested. As you can see, there's no's all the way down. This is the best type of opinion you can get. This is the best page. It's the best it can look. It doesn't get any better than that. That's all you need to know. And then we tested the highway planning and construction and the COVID-19 coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds this year. So a little bit more about our firm in case you are interested. And with that, I will just open it up for any questions that you might have for me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Anyone on council have any comments or questions? Councilor Garland?
I think it was slide 6. I was just looking at the dates. Are those? Yeah.
I will go back to it. Yes.
It says 2023. So we're.
Sorry, 3/31/24. I got to catch up. My fault. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. Just want to check that. And it's been wonderful working with you on the audit committee. You guys do such a great job.
Thank you.
Besides that little number right there, but you guys do a wonderful job. Thank you so much for working with us.
Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anyone else on council further comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
All right. Seeing that is done and there were no further comments or questions from council, I'd look for a motion on item 8A1.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Keating and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. Okay. Councilmember Navarro?
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances items for introduction and first hearing. The item under the section will be read and introduced tonight, but no vote will be taken. The second hearing and vote is scheduled for March 7th, 2024. Item 8B1 is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt a resolution for a general plan land use map amendment from residential to mixed use, adopt an ordinance for a zoning map amendment from R4 TOD to MU4 TOD, a planned area development overlay to establish development review standards, and a development plan review for a new 15-story mixed-use development containing 240 dwelling units on 0.9 acres for Verve Tempe, located at 1011 East Orange Street. The applicant is Sender Associates Chartered. And I see Darren Sender coming up to the microphone. Good evening.
Good evening. All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Darren Sender, Sender Associates, 464 South Farmer, Tempe. Thank you very much for reviewing this tonight. I'll be quick, I promise. So what we're looking at is a project over here on 1011 East Orange Street. You can see kind of in the zoomed out map, this is on located at the southeast corner of Terrace and Orange. So it's all kind of on an angle there. It's a little bit odd, but It's currently occupied by a very old, smaller apartment building. The owner is selling it to my client, who is here tonight, Ryan Bum, from wearing the shirt, all right, from Subtext Development. And we have Neil Reardon with ESG Architects here to talk a little bit about the design. The project is a student housing project. It's located within an area that is fully student housing, and we think it really ups the design kind of glass roof or glass ceiling, basically, in this general area. We think every project that comes in this area is really raising the bar. And I think you'll see that this one is raised it yet again. You can kind of see a little bit more here on the aerial map. You have Vertex to the west there, larger project. And Lemon Street. Apache is further south, but we are right on the light rail line. So there's 2 stations within walking distance, the one station to the north on campus, and then the Apache station to the east a little bit. So you can see here it's located very, very close to campus. Great location for student housing. The request Mayor Woods just read, general plan land use amendment from residential to mixed use. The 2050 GP already addressed this. It's already changed in the 2050 GP. We just kind of came in before the vote, so we have to request this, but it's already been changed. The residential density for this area is urban core over 65. So this whole area under the GP 2050 is now urban core over 65 DUA. So it's changed all that already, and it's really being reflected in what's being developed. Zoning, it's the old R4 multifamily. It's a TOD corridor. We're right on the light rail. And we are looking to change that to the mixed use designation TOD with a PAD overlay. Again, there's the PAD overlay. Development plan review, which obviously is the design elements of the project, and then use permit for a few tandem parking spaces. You can see the maps as they get changed. Again, 2050 already addressed this part of the application. Zoning, as you can see, the MU4 on the right is very, very compliant with what's already there. There's a lot of MU4 there currently. And I will now turn that over to Neil.
Mayor, council members, Neil Reardon, ESG Architecture and Design, and I'll just keep this brief and give you a very high-level overview of the design. The site here, again, just to orientate you on the plans, orange is to the left, and terrace is to the bottom of the page. North would be up and to the left at an angle of 45 degrees. So some parking and lobby spaces here at 1, as well as retail and a porte cochere drop-off with some parking on the back side. The building is primarily clad in a variety of different colors of metal panel that are publicly facing. So there's a pewter color, there's a charcoal color, and there's a terracotta color. You can see there as acting as mainly as an accent. At the base of the building, there is masonry with storefront openings. That's really that 2-story volume you see there at the bottom. So that's a darker masonry color that accentuates the base of the building. Here it is from the northwest as we look down terrace. So this would you'd be catching kind of the main entry corner of the project, and there you can see that accent of terracotta protruding up and signifying the top of the building. Again, that same relatively that same view from this would be from the northwest. If you could picture the building without some of the other buildings there. Again, you see the 3 different colors of metal panel, as well as how we're screening the parking component of the project there at the base on the left-hand side. Zooming in a little tighter to the frontage along terrace, you can kind of see how that active use at ground level there really glows in the evening here in this rendering, and just what that's doing engaging the pedestrians on the street. A little tighter in then on the main entry of the building, you can see the porte cochere to the left, tucked away on orange, but then the main entry here at the hard intersection of orange and terrace, and looking down that streetscape to the right along terrace. And then lastly, from the other side of the building, this is kind of be from the south. You can see the base, middle, and top conditions with those similar materials that I mentioned already.
Can you go over the top, kind of the amenity deck?
Oh, certainly, yes. Darren's mentioning at the top of the building, actually at levels at the very top level, we really pop that ceiling height up and accentuate the top of the building, as I mentioned. And then that is a full, more than half of that floor is dedicated to amenities, both indoor and outdoor. So there's a full outdoor roof deck there that faces north primarily, with a flanking interior space of about 7,000 square feet.
Thank you, thank you. I do have just one comment. We're working with Ryan on a condition, stipulation number 4 of the DPR stipulations, talking about a ventilation shaft going through the building. We're working on that because that's not actually code required. There's some other things, so we're just kind of changing the language. I want it stricken, but we're going to work with Ryan on getting that. But we don't think it's necessary. There's a building code in place, and what's he shaking his head? So
I'm going to let you two work that out offline.
Yeah, we're not taking action tonight, but if you did, I would really like you to strike that one. And then also just reiterating what Neil said, upgraded materials, lots of metal panels, and that's directly driven by staff. Staff is really asking everyone to upgrade materials and make sure that everything is a little bit more rich in these downtown areas and areas adjacent to downtown. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. I got a couple of questions. Then I'm going to go to Councilmember Hodge and then Councilmember Garland. So first of all, I love the design and I love the use of the different metals that we're kind of getting away from all of the sort of stucco or ephes. I think it's a much higher quality sort of looking development. So I appreciate the fact that, as you said, with all of these, we're basically trying to set some kind of a standard as a city. And so I would like for people to do more things like this and not just sort of put up stucco on buildings and what. So this is the kind of thing that I'm looking for. So I appreciate that. The second thing I was just going to ask though was that you're asking for a general plan amendment to go from residential to mixed use. What part of this basically makes it mixed use? Is it retail on the bottom floor? Is it restaurant? Like what can we expect to see that not just simply residents of this place can actually use, but other residents who live throughout Tempe?
Yeah, correct. There's about 1,700 square feet of available open retail space that we've parked as a restaurant, but that's kind of what we're talking with Ryan about and Mike Baxley and building code. It's just ventilation. We want to make sure we ventilate that and have some grease traps and things like that for a potential restaurant use. But there's also the main lobby, and there's other space that can be used for joint use as well. So yes, there's absolutely retail under there. And as you know, the density requirement, the general plan is asking for 65 DUA and up, but the zoning ordinance only allows residential development up to like 25. So, you know, if your vision is one thing, but the zoning, so we have to go to the MU zoning. We have to use that. But there is absolutely commercial space in this building.
No, and I'll just say I really like the fact that we're talking about going to a mixed-use designation because many times people raise concerns about, general plan amendments. And I've heard Councilmember Keating actually talk about this before, is that, many times these amendments are used because circumstances are very different now than they were 10 years ago. And these are actually to strengthen and improve a lot of the proposed projects that end before us. And so we're talking about trying to find ways to continue to activate that Apache Boulevard corridor, which is where the presence of light rail is. And so you want to have truly walkable spaces and walkable neighborhoods that not only have residential, but frankly, retail and restaurant and bar opportunities for people who actually want to utilize those. Once again, not just for the people who live at the Verve, but for anybody who lives within our community. So I think changing this, frankly, from purely residential to adding those retail and restaurant components only enhances and improves the project. Councilmember Hodge?
Thank you. I love this project. It's beautiful. My question is, I know you were talking about the at the bottom with the restaurant. Is there any chance of any like small grocery stores, anything? Because in that area is kind of a grocery desert. So we try to ask about, is there any kind of food or anything that there would be down there for
possibly.
shop?
I think it's about 1,700 square foot gross. So it could potentially have a small little grab and go. And absolutely. And I think that would be a little more realistic here than a restaurant, a full restaurant. There's a lot of great restaurants in this area, but a grab and go,
I think
smaller
so too.
yoga studio, we can certainly get the message message through.
That'd be great. And my other question is, how much of the housing is 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms? And how's kind of the layout of it's going to look like with that more? I didn't see it.
Oh, you don't
I'm
have it
sorry.
on there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
it
do
is.
we end up with the break?
I know you have them, but I just didn't know
Sure,
the breakdown.
Yeah. It is all studio. So they're listed. There's studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, 3s, and 4s. There is no 5s, but it is heavier on the 2s and 4s in that mix. So, yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Councilmember Garland?
Can you tell me how the tandem parking works? Because it's for some reason, that's the first time that really stood out to me, is the tandem parking and understanding how that works. Is it one tandem spot per unit? Just curious.
Yeah. Well, the way it works is there's 2 that are linked, and usually those are bought or assigned with tenants that live in the same unit, so that they can move one car, move the other when they need to, and they can communicate that way. So usually they are linked, so they're front and back. So one car's in, head in or backed in, and then the other car has the full access at all times. So, and there are only a few of those in the project, sort of where there was extra space.
Okay. And then the other one is, I like the idea of the student housing. I would love to get the students out of our neighborhoods and into apartments close to the school, and that our neighborhoods be families, and I just love that. So, but my other thing is, so the city of Tempe adopted a green building code, mandatory for us, voluntary for you. Have you guys looked at the green codes and the 5 chapters that we have? Because I would love to start seeing our projects that come to us, knowing that everybody has looked at those and at least started picking through those. So I think the voluntary thing, you'd put a big smile on my face and some others. I think if you started really addressing some of the things that are in there without it being mandatory, that would just be awesome.
I can speak to that just really briefly and how we look at the sustainability aspect in designing of these projects. A lot of the green standards are there, and they're very helpful and meaningful to act as a North Star to get to. The building code takes you most of the way there, and then we go a little further than that generally. But then the compliance and the reporting and all that is usually what is avoided, because that is a lot of extra legwork. But I would say that the building is part of the way to those standards, just with the building code, and then we do take it a little bit further.
I would really love it if you wouldn't mind, when you came back the second time to do presentation, if you could tell us which one of those that you've been looking at and which one of those are addressed in those 5 chapters. It'd be great to be able to see and be able to talk about that. I mean, and give you, pat on the back that you're trying to do that. We really want to work toward it being mandatory. And we're right now collecting data. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. But it'd be great to get some more information when you come back the next time.
Thank you, Councilmember. That's very thoughtful. And actually, we sometimes layer that checklist with what we're doing anyway. So we can certainly bring that back.
That'd be great. Yep. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Councilmember DeVar?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, beautiful design, great questions, and just basically getting back to the core of what we try to transpire here in this area, in downtown in general, and just everything in and around ASU. We put student housing where student housing needs to be. You're doing it within depth. You're utilizing space as best you can. It's a beautiful design. And at the end of the day, you're taking the burden of students in the neighborhoods and you're bringing them closer to the campus. That's the bottom line. And you're bringing them into a safer environment instead of traveling on their streets, utilizing cars. It's a walkable distance to ASU. All the things that we're talking about. This is what's going to help our neighborhoods, and it's really going to revive our neighborhoods and our parks and everything like that. Not to say the students are bad. I live in a neighborhood where I have tons of students around me, but I think it's appropriate that we're placing these things so close to the campus. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Chin? Nope. I'll just say very quickly to Councilmember DeVar's point, and I've made the same point at prior meetings. I think he's completely right. When he and I first started on council together back in 2008 here, one of the things that we heard about consistently was the challenge of having many students throughout the neighborhoods. And it wasn't that the residents don't like the students. They love ASU and love what it does for the community. But many times there was concern that those homes were being taken out of the market for families that were looking to move in and establish themselves. And while every now and then we do still hear concerns about, students living in homes throughout the community, it's far less now, 16 years later, because of the student housing that has been built in this community that is of a very high quality, because now you actually have students living in places clustered with other students. And that has then freed up a lot of the homes and a lot of our North Tempe neighborhoods to be kind of reclaimed for families and folks of that nature. So I just wanted to second that point that Councilmember Navarro made. I think it's very, very relevant. Councilmember Keating?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Councilmember Garland said as far as the Green Building Code goes. This is something that we purposely done voluntarily, for a 3-year period to kind of figure out what works for you, what works for staff, what could work best for the city. So I would be interested in knowing, certainly what you guys have already incorporated, or it may be the reasons why we can't do it, more, for lack of a better term, aggressively, because there might be some issue on your side, there might be some issue on our side. We'll talk about the ventilation concerns and things like that. So it'll help us kind of flush out what the move to mandatory after the 3-year period looks like. So I think that'd be good information for us to have. Thank you.
Absolutely, great idea.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, anyone else from council? Any further comments or questions? All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. See you in a couple weeks.
All right, you got it. This is also a public hearing item. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this item? If so, please get my attention. All right, seeing that, I'll close the public hearing. Just want to reiterate once again, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for March 7th, 2024. All right, the next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for second hearing and final adoption, and votes will be taken this evening on these items. The first item under the section is 8C1, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending Tempe City Code, Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 21, Sections 2-375 relating to composition and 2-377 relating to powers and duties of the Sustainability and Resilience Commission, allowing for additional flexibility, yet maintaining diversity across sector representation.
Motion to approve.
Okay, it's been, I've got a public hearing item first, so can I withdraw that for 1 second?
Yes.
Okay. This is also a public hearing item. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this item? If so, please get my attention. All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and I'll look back to Vice Mayor Adams.
Motion to approve.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice
Second.
Mayor Adams and seconded by Councilmember Hodge. Please vote. Okay. Vice Mayor Adams says aye. Councilmember Keating? Yep, okay, and that item then passes 7-0. The last item under the section is 8C2, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance for a zoning map amendment from CSS to MU4 in the TOD corridor, a planned area development overlay to establish development standards and a development plan review for a 15-story mixed-use development consisting of 300 dwelling units and 3,063 square feet of commercial uses for 1020 Apache, located at 1020 East Apache Boulevard. The applicant is Gamage and Burnham PLC, and I see Manjula Vaz. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. For the record, my name is Manjula Vaz, law firm of Gamage and Burnham. I'm here to represent in the short. I gave a pretty thorough presentation last week, so I'm happy to answer any questions if you'd like. Give another presentation.
All right, so I know, council, we had a presentation during the first public hearing. Anything changed substantially between the first and second hearing?
No, nothing.
No, okay. Anyone else want another presentation or anything else that you'd like to have clarified?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Actually, I got to do a public hearing on this one as well, so.
Whoops.
All right, so no questions at this moment. We'll see if there's anything comes up at the public hearing. So this is a public hearing item. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on item 8? Man, I should have said that. On item 8C2. If so, please get my attention. All right, seeing that, I'll close the public hearing. Then I will look back to Vice Mayor Adams.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Adams and seconded by Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you very much.
Please vote. And Vice Mayor Adams votes yes, which means that item passes unanimously 7-0. All right. That brings us to item number 9, current events, council announcements, and future agenda items. Council members may request that an agenda item be added to a future council meeting during their allotted time, but in accordance with the open meeting law, there should be no discussion on the item other than to clarify the request. This evening, I'm going to start with Council Member Navarro.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think, well, yeah, I do. Thought I did. Get ready here. Do I really? I don't know. Just a little interesting tidbit. Tempe St. Luke's Hospital has its 80th anniversary coming up. There's going to be a little celebration. Dr. Ernest Voll purchased 7.5 acres at 15 East 5th Avenue, now Mill Avenue, in 1943, converted it, wood floor ranch house, into a 10-bedroom hospital. First patient admitted March 1st, 1944, and she promptly gave birth March 2nd, 1944. Dr. Paul's original intentions for the Tempe Hospital Clinic was to serve as a maternity center for the growth of military population during Williams Air Base, Williams Airfield, I would imagine, back in World War II. 1947, Dr. Robert Clark joined Dr. Pol, am I saying that right? Poli? And the name of the clinic was changed to Tempe Community Hospital, which that has been around for a long time. 1960, Dr. Poli relinquished his hospital to the Arizona Conference of the Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, who grew the hospital through 3 decades of 110 beds. Grew it up to 110 beds. That's nice. 1982, the St. Luke's Health Initiatives purchased Tempe Community Hospital and officially changed its name to Tempe St. Luke's. So I remember Tempe Community Hospital. I know there was a lot of people born out of it. Shanna Ellis comes to mind because she always brags about it. At the time of the conversion, I was a little too young or too old, I guess, and they converted it. Yeah, I had to go to Scottsdale to get birthed. But anyways, it's been such a neat adventure. And I just have to say that in my time as a medic with the Phoenix Fire Department, I visited it often. The doctors and the staff has always been tremendous over there. I know that Sheila, thank you, has always been a staple in that hospital. I mean, this is her. This is what she does. She's getting a lot of people there, but she continually pubs this hospital over and over again. She's been just tremendous, not only to the hospital workers, but to the firefighters that often visit her there. So 80th anniversary is something to be proud of. It's part of Tempe's culture and history, and if you guys can make it, come on down. That's all I got.
All right. Next up, Vice Mayor Adams.
No announcements this evening.
Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Chin.
No announcements, sir.
All right. Next up, I'm going to go to Councilmember Garland.
I do have an announcement. My backstage pass is going to be February 24th, 10:30 to noon. If you can make it, we're going to meet at the Kiwanis Rec Center, and then we're going to walk over to the corrals for the mounted police unit. We're going to get a back scenes tour with the police department. We're going to see canines. We're going to see the SWAT vehicles. We're going to have a lot of fun. So please come and join us if you can. Saturday, February 24th, 10:30 in the morning until noon. Meet us at the Kiwanis Rec Center. So Tim Gomez is the ASU Government Relations Senior Director who used to work here at City Hall, and he built the City Hall out of Legos. And those little figurines you see on the top, those represent the council members. And so you will have to go up on the 3rd floor. Are you gonna leave it with us for a while, Tim? Okay, Tim's gonna leave it with us for a while. It's on loan. It's on loan right now from the Museum of Gomez. And you should come upstairs and look at it. The detail in it is absolutely crazy. One of my favorites, I think Keith Burke is in the, he's eating lunch in the break room.
Or a cookie, he's eating a cookie.
And then our financial, where's Tom Dunsing is holding on to money, a dollar bill, and it's incredible. The details in it, even the outside, there's a water fountain like we have outside the building. So if you get a chance to go up to the 3rd floor and see it, it's really spectacular. And then I have one more announcement that I don't have a slide for. I just want to say I had the opportunity to meet Richard Martinez, our residential solid waste supervisor, who was in our neighborhood and doing a solid waste container audit. And I have to say that man is lovely. I don't know if you'd like me to say that he's lovely, but he was so nice, and it was great seeing our employees out there, especially when they don't know who you are, and just see how they relate with the public. And he was absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Next up, Councilmember Hodge.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Navarro, my son Jevin was one of the last kids to be born in that hospital, Tempe, St. Luke. So I just, yep, I'm a big fan. Breakfast with Burdett is this Saturday, February 17th, from 10 to noon at Escalante Center. Please come out. It's going to be a great one. It's a free all. We're going to have housing, community council. We'll talk about if you need taxes done, if you want to go into housing, Hope Outreach, College Connect, everything will be there. So if you know anybody who has any of those services needed, please have them come out on this Saturday from 10 to noon. Also, Career Ready Tempe is now accepting applications for our students and the deadline is April 1st. So if anybody needs that, knows any student who would like to be involved in that, please give them that information at tempe.gov/Career Ready Tempe. And we do have free tax preparation, so let everybody know. It's also e-filing to it. It started January 29th to April 13th. And we have a performance this February 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Tempe Historical Museum. It's a free concert. It's inclusion with the African American Advisory Council, and it's also for Black History Month. And I want to wish everybody a happy President's Day for Monday the 19th. And you see, I put my favorite president on there, Obama.
All right.
And that's it for me.
Sounds good. Excellent. Next up, Councilmember Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Hodge, those are my two favorite presidents. So that was a very good slide. I appreciate that. Tim, that is amazing. That is way too cool. I think my figurine is the best one, obviously, because the Detroit Lions flag and the Star Trek uniform are too much. I look forward to seeing it in the Guggenheim. Hope sometime next year, no doubt. So I just want to wish Arizona a happy 112th birthday yesterday and a happy Valentine's Day to my girlfriend Melanie yesterday. Thank you. That's enough.
Flowers at least, Randy?
Well, given that I can't top that, I don't have any announcements this evening. Which brings us to item number 10, public appearances. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to address the council? And if so, please come forward and state your name and residence for the record. Seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting and go to item number 11, which is adjournment. The next regular city council meeting is scheduled for March 7th, 2024. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.